So Manoj, this thing looks like it's coming together. So how do we start the game? What do you suggest we begin with?
Well, there's actually a very simple way to begin playing the game. And this is by using the challenges canvas. Basically, the way to start is by selecting the main challenge that you would like to address and create a trigger question. This trigger question will help the participants to allocate and gather some information individually of what they believe may be causing this main challenge that wants to be addressed.
And actually, the trigger questions, there's a booklet which has some suggestions on how to trigger this.
Exactly.
And it's a fairly standardized thing. It's not very complicated.
Correct. In the booklet, you will basically find a fill in the blank question, and that will actually help the participants to generate their questions. So at the beginning, they will do an individual gathering of information, and then collectively, they will be sharing these challenges that they believe need to be addressed in order to solve the main or bigger challenge.
And apparently you've got some kind of grouping here which says where these things might belong.
Correct. It's very simple, and it's going to be very intuitive once you start playing. The idea is to categorize all the challenges that we have identified in these four corners. The first one is related to the culture or the behavior of the people. The second part has to do with planning, priorities, and structure. The third one has to do with executions. How do things actually get done? And then the final one is the consequences, which is the last part of the problem that is actually perceived by most of the people. Those are the different sections. So after that, what participants will do is to try to put together the ones that they find have a relationship. They will use a pink post-it card in order to put those together. This is actually expressed in the actual game board in the part of the Is conversations. This is the start of the game, and actually the three different segments are divided by the takeoff, cruising, and landing. Very simple. The takeoff is actually the gathering of the information by the players. The cruising is this discussion about allocating them and creating the groups. And then the landing, which is a very important part, is selecting which of the challenges that we have identified are the ones that we're actually going to address and move forward to the next part of the game.
So I noticed some obstacles on these tracks. What might those be, or what is that all about?
Well, these obstacles are actually the representation of something else that we will talk about later on, and you can also find some information about this on the booklet. But the most important part about this is the next one. This is what we call the JTC Dragon, and basically what happens is when you are expressing a challenge that is actually not a challenge but a potential solution, this is the situation where you fall into the head of the JTC Dragon. JTC stands for jumping to conclusions. And if one participant shares one challenge that has one of the potential words like need to, should, or must, their post-it will be actually pulled down to the head of this path.
So that's very interesting, because very often this is a normal tendency that we already know the answer before we know what the problem is, and we are very prone to that kind of a setup.
Exactly, and part of what we're trying to do with this is actually preventing from jumping immediately to the solution. And before moving forward into the game, when we have some post-its here, there will be a discussion with the group, because this might actually be a very good solution that we all agree on. So we will evaluate this before moving to the next stage and see if this is a potential solution. If we are not sure or we are not ready to finalize, then we will put it into the JTC holding zone. And when we get to the right time to address them, we will take care of those.
So what you're saying is we allow the energy to flow, but make sure that we capture that and handle them in the right sequence.
Correct.
So very often we get hijacked, the conversations get hijacked by these JTC jumping to conclusion kind of ideas, and people feel very passionate about that because they want to rush and they want to move fast. But sometimes these could be actually the worst ideas.
Exactly.
Or they could be the best ideas. But if we handle them in the right sequence, is what I'm hearing you say, that will be the way to process them and make sure they work for us rather than give us more friction, because we might be doing some good work but in the wrong direction.
I think you explained it very well, Sunil, and you captured the most important part of it, which is the sequence and addressing these kind of ideas in the proper way.